Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to another Wednesday night webinar. I'm Dr. Patrick McGrath, Chief Clinical Officer for NOCD. Joining me tonight, the noisemaker.
I quit. I'm so done. So done. Bye. This is my letter of resignation.
Yeah, it's been fun. Yeah, good times. What's up, Mackenzie? How are you?
I was good until I had to look at you.
Yeah, I know. Just this ugly face just ruins the night right there. I do have a face for radio, I've been told, so that's what's really good. So, yeah. So. Good to have everyone here. If you're looking for help for OCD or related conditions, check us out at NOCD.com. That's NOCD.com, where we do all sorts of work for OCD and body-focused repetitive behaviors and hoarding and tics, and we work with depression and trauma. And we even have support groups, right, Mackenzie? Don't we do some of those things?
We do. I just came from one.
Oh, yeah? How was it?
It was good. It was so good. I had 2, and then I get to hang out with you.
Oh, well, sorry to be the downer of the night for you, I'm sure, of those 3 things, but, that's okay.
I forgive you.
All right. Well, just remind your family to make as much noise as possible for the next hour, please, and then everything will be wonderful. That'd be great. Still one of the funniest webinars ever.
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to think about it.
Shall we go to the scroll and answer questions then? Is that what we should do?
All right. And I'll have to contemplate divorce again.
All right, there you go. Peter says, my OCD is mainly mental. When I feel off, I immediately try to solve or analyze it. Mackenzie, you never did that with your OCD, I know. However, I know that solving and analyzing are compulsions, so I stop myself and apply strategies like acceptance. But acceptance becomes a new obsession. I monitor whether I'm doing it right. I just keep checking how I feel, and I'm constantly analyzing myself in so many metrics. How would you apply ERP to this? Well, I'm going to just turn it over to Mackenzie, who I know did this. So I'm just going to let you talk about some real life experience in that area, Mackenzie.
Wait, okay, but will you put it back up for me?
Oh, yeah. Do you see them, by the way?
Yeah, no, I see it. Never mind. I see it, yeah. Right. Okay. Well, so we're never going to solve anything that OCD is telling us that we can solve. I have a metaphor for this.
Please.
So OCD, I'm not a video game person, but OCD swears, right? Like we do all the things it says. We think about all the things, we do all the things, and we'll get certainty, right? We do all the things, and we say you're at the end of, like, if you think about it as a video game, you go up the steps, and this little trophy is sitting on the table at the end, and it's, certainty. Okay, you following me? And then you go to grab it, and your hand...
No, when you speak, I think of other things, actually. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm listening.
When you go to... Dang it. When you go to grab it, your hand goes right through it because it's not real. You don't have certainty. And you have to, like, we're understanding and we're learning. There's a difference between problem solving and rumination. And problem solving has purpose. We're actively solving a problem. Rumination, there's no end. There's no purpose in it. We're just gonna, stay stuck.
Yeah, it never leads you to the goal that you have, right? Which is figuring something out. How much could you have ever ruminated enough to figure anything out?
Never. No. I've ruminated how to get out of this webinar with you. I'm still stuck here.
You're still here. That's a good one. Welcome to the rest of the night, everybody. Just watching the 2 of us go back and forth at each other. Yeah.
I know, I haven't. I've never gotten to the end of an OCD spiral. It's always something else, or it always comes back.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think, Peter, one of the things here is that, first of all, acceptance is a goal, right? But it's not the end all be all. It's also just living with things, allowing things to be there. So if you're caught up on the word acceptance, meaning, okay, what does acceptance actually mean? I have to accept that, and am I accepting it right? No, you're not, but nobody is, because that would mean that there's an absolute definition of acceptance, and that the only way to truly accept something is to hit the actual definition of that spot on, head on, Webster's and Macmillan and everybody else who's ever written a dictionary would all look at you and go, oh yeah, you've done it perfectly. That's not our goal whatsoever. We're not here to do those types of things. We are just trying to get to a point of what I like to say is living with something, right? If you can live with a chronic condition, do you have to 100% accept the fact that you have it? No, you could be pissed off about it and disappointed about it, and you could still live with it knowing that you could handle that very thing. So that becomes the goal, right? How do I live with something instead of having to come up with the absolutely right way to be with something? Because you're right, that will become a compulsion. And so your goal is not to hit every metric perfectly. Your goal is to recognize that I have this, I live with this, and I can live with this in such a way that I don't have to do everything to satisfy this. I'm just going to have this be here. And Mackenzie, I think that's something you've done so well, and it hurts me to say that, by the way, but it's something that
compliment.
Yeah, I know. Mark it down on your calendar because it ain't happening again.
Literally taking a mental note. Yeah.
But no, I think you have, in the sense that you've really been an example on what we've described here, and I think in support groups, of going from your life being so controlled by OCD to a person who's just learned to live with OCD. It's not like you don't have obsessions, right? Mm-hmm. You just are like, okay, and work on moving up.
Yeah, and I think it's being comfortable enough and confident enough in yourself and your ability to navigate through things. And I say this, I just said this in the group I was in. It's so valid to be frustrated. I do get pissed off. I'm annoyed that I have to air traffic control my thoughts to where they need to go, like spam or, urgent. But I can do it, and I live a life that I love, and I'm living with my values over fears.
All right, let's go. Mohammed asks about, can you get a groinal response while doing an imaginal exposure, intentionally imagining thoughts, or any other exposure? I need an answer. Thank you. You can get a groinal response anytime, anywhere, any place, anyhow. So no one is immune from some kind of groinal feeling. And people have them all the time. They just don't notice them most of the time. The people who notice them all of the time are the people who are hoping not to have them and are constantly paying attention to that area of the body, hoping that they feel nothing in it. And by doing that, feel something, because the moment you start to, hope to not feel something in an area, you're probably going to feel that thing. And therefore, guess what? Well, we have a groinal. Yeah. I always talk, Mackenzie, about lice. And if I start talking about lice.
No, I hate when you do that.
And yeah, so you're already scratching.
No.
Just look at that. Just a scratch already right there. Yeah. So did any of you have a little urge to itch just because I said lice? How they like to crawl around in your hair, live in your eyebrows, and have their little lice babies, and they run around your face and down your body. And look at her. She's just like, right? Okay, so Mackenzie, I don't think you have lice. Why are you acting as if you did?
Because you're talking about it.
So that means that we can have a feeling just through suggestion.
Yeah.
And just by hoping not to feel something?
Yes.
I think that answers Mohammed's question. Notice, though, Mohammed, I'm not going to tell you the direct answer that you want, because that would be giving you reassurance. But I think you can hopefully take my answer and know my answer, that would be good. Yes. All right. Oh, yeah, this looks interesting. How do I stop people from taking advantage of my weakness? I have reached the point where family people keep talking rudely and pushing my buttons for a long while. I don't know how to help myself. Well, I don't know what the weakness is, first of all, HNB store. But I would say this. If there are people taking advantage of a weakness, then it's time to toughen up that part of the armor, right? I remember doing a social anxiety disorder ERP exercise, Mackenzie, with someone back in the old days when it was on cassette tapes with actual cassette recorders, probably before you were born even.
No, I had cassette.
You had one?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this was 1999. I was doing this joyful thing. And
I was born 7 years. 8
oh,
years.
Okay. Well, look at you. Just your skin is glowing. So I had no idea how old you were.
7 years. 7. Sorry. Okay, go ahead.
But he was overwhelmed by certain words that people had used to tease him when he was a kid. And if he heard these words, it just got to him and it felt like it ruined his day. And so anybody who said one of these like 15 or 20 words or so, he would just feel like, it was a gut punch. And he would try to avoid anybody who had ever said any of these words. And his life was getting smaller and smaller. And he was skipping classes because a professor said it once, one of these words once, and an example, it was just all of these things. And so we made a tape of all of these words with his permission. And we had him listen to this tape for about 5 or so hours. And after the third hour, he was like, all right, this is starting to get kind of boring. The first 2 hours were not fun for him. He did not like it. Hour 3 is like, this is starting to get kind of boring. I said, excellent, keep listening. Hour 4, he's like, all right, I'm really kind of done with this. I said, great, listen to it for another hour. And at the end of the 5th hour, he's like, this is dumb, and I can't believe these words have had such an impact on my life. And I said, fantastic. You have just toughened up that skin, and guess what? I don't know that these words are going to really bother you anymore. And he's like, I sure hope not. And they didn't, right? We then actively used all those words every day in therapy sessions that we had with him. And he would maybe now and then get a little kind of feeling, but it passed, it went, and it was no longer just the overwhelming sensation that it had been for him. Right? And so I think if you have a weakness and you figure out ways to do ERP to it, you can then not show that weakness off to other people anymore. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Like it.
We're taking a vacation to a water park soon. I will likely not leave my toddler-aged son's side since I have trauma from a near drowning incident a few months ago. I would like to spend time with my daughter as well and enjoy relaxing while my husband is with kids. How do I do ERP for this trauma and learn to let go? Thanks as always for helpful responses. Well, first of all, it sucks when something happens like that, right? And when those things do happen, yeah, we jump to worst case scenarios, right? Mackenzie, I'm sure if anything's ever happened to your kids, it's on your mind, correct?
Yes, just had this happen this week.
And then you feel guilty as a parent for what did I do wrong, or how did I allow something, or whatever. When, sometimes things happen, right? I mean, I remember when Susan was sick and she fell a couple of times, and it was like, I had guilt over that too, of, I should have been closer to her or anticipated this, or why did we buy those high chairs instead of the lower chairs so she wouldn't have fallen. So, just all of that stuff, right? Everything. So this is one of those things where it's, how much do you have to protect someone versus are you also allowed to enjoy yourself in these situations? What's the middle ground? What's the happy medium? And also, I think accepting the fact that no matter what we do, there's risk.
Yeah.
Driving to the water park is a risk, right? Being at the water park, that is a risk. Being at your house is a risk. Guess where most accidents happen? In your own home, which means the most dangerous place you can be is at home, right? So, I know.
No, but it's like the healthy level of concern versus I'm like healthy level of concern and where OCD enters the group chat, because there is a difference. And we're constantly trying to figure out where that healthy level of concern stops and where OCD shows up. And I can relate. I mean, not the drowning piece, but they had an incident at Ellie's school earlier this week. It was like a false alarm. She happened to be homesick anyway, so she wasn't there. And everything ended up being okay. It was teenagers playing a prank, but they had to bring police officers and stuff. And so there's a healthy level of concern. The school did everything they were supposed to do. They sent out this email, and my brain's like, oh, she can never go back. She can never go back, ever. Yeah. And then I have to say, okay, well, there's a healthy level of concern. They handled everything appropriately. Now my OCD is saying, okay, no, we're never going to go back. Nope, that's it. Pack it up. We're homeschooling. I'm done. And that's just not, I can't do that for everything. There's risk in everything. And it's, I think does that make sense? Like that healthy level versus OCD coming and saying, okay, everyone be quiet. I'm going to make the decisions now.
100%. So. Yeah, absolutely. Right. I mean, we know, and you've lived this, OCD never goes to the best case scenario.
Never. Literally never. It's never like, oh, maybe Dr. McGrath will, get a cold and he won't be able to host the webinar. It's like, dang it, I'm going to have to hang out with Dr. McGrath today.
Yeah, right. And there we are. Yeah. ruins both of our nights right there. Yeah, for sure. So, Chris, I mean, here's what I would say. A, we empathize with you that, crappy things happen in people's lives. And OCD wants to jump at that as proof at how dangerous the world is. And therefore, your job is to do absolutely everything to protect this kid. But, then you're going to have some guilt because you're paying attention to this kid and then not the other kid. And then if your partner isn't watching that child the way that you're watching this child, and then something happens like, oh, I should have been over there. Right? And OCD loves to put us in a no-win situation in these types of things. I mean, Mackenzie, I'm betting your kids bump their head or do something at least once a day, right?
Actually, nope. My kids have never even gotten a cut. Nothing. No, it happens all the time. And it's the OCD guilt, the guilt that OCD try. Like, I am never going to be perfect. I'm never going to be the parent OCD says is like that I can be, this like super mom that nothing bad ever happens. So you just have to be good enough. You have to be good enough, like to the best of your, and be comfortable with the good enough.
And we may have some close calls along the way, right?
100%.
Yeah. So, Chris, you don't have to be super mom, right? Just keep aware of that. But OCD sets you up for failure if you're not and tells you that's the only way to be. So just keep that in mind.
Yes.
Grace had a habit of sneaking confessions in therapy. Now the therapist asked you to stop. He's right, but that made you not like him anymore.
It's the realest comment I have ever seen.
Mackenzie, this is like your twin. Is this normal in ERP? I feel like a bad person because of this, but I can't help feeling mad. How can I cope with this? It's so confusing. Take it away. Yeah.
Oh my God. There's nothing more annoying than when people like start to catch on to your OCD and they start like calling you out on it. And it's helpful. Like it's helpful, right? And so you have to, okay, first in this situation, I would say like take a step back. Are you mad at your therapist or are you mad at your OCD? Because OCD got caught, right? OCD, now we're like, dang it, like I can't do this anymore, right? Like they got it figured out. I remember I was just telling someone, I remember the first time Montana, my husband came to a therapy session and you could just see the lights going off. Like my therapist explaining all the ways like he can't accommodate. And I was like, oh my, I'm never coming back to this woman ever again. Like, I can't believe. And he's sitting there like, oh yes, like I've got this all figured out. But it helped me so much. It helps when people hold us accountable, when like having those accountability partners when we're not necessarily doing it for ourselves, right? And that's what a good therapist does. A good therapist tells you when your OCD is showing up, because if they didn't, it wouldn't be helpful.
Right.
But the not liking them after is super valid. Like Yeah, no, I don't
I've
like
been
you.
called a few names in my day, not just in normal conversation.
Not
But,
normal.
but, but even in therapy.
Yeah. I mean, if you like your ERP therapist in the moment, are they really doing their no, just kidding.
Yeah, something to kind of think about, right? So,
Yeah.
here's another one I think you'll enjoy, Mackenzie. It's hard for me not to compulse when OCD tries to convince me that my worst fear is true.
Yeah. I mean, literally. Like
Literally, right? Yeah.
I've also decided the things so like with like with health anxiety or like health OCD, like I was laughing at myself the other day because I was like, if I had the list of things OCD has tried to convince me were real, like the worst fear, like these are going to take me out. It's longer than a CVS receipt. Like at this point, like
And
you
those
really,
are 7 miles long. So,
yeah,
yeah.
like it is so, yeah. And it's
Mhm.
so hard not to, I mean, it's hard to not do a compulsion anytime, but I think something that I've decided to is OCD loves validity. So there could be a little bit of validity and OCD is going to run with it. And if there isn't validity, it's going to make it up. And so I always say, like, if I Google, like, my head hurts, so I have a brain tumor, and it's like there's a 0.002% chance you have a brain tumor and you're going to die tomorrow. My OCD is like, ha, told you. Like, and it completely jumps over, right, the other piece. But also good things happen and bad things happen, and it doesn't it's just a part of life, right? It's just, and OCD isn't going to those compulsions, as much as OCD tries to tell us otherwise, they don't protect us from life.
Mm-mm. They do not, do they? Yeah.
No.
Otherwise, our job would be to give compulsions to people.
Yeah, and also, like, fun fact, every time I've like had like real issues in my life, like, my hands being infected because I washed them, like it's always from compulsions. Always the
So they've
things
made things worse instead of better. Right.
yeah, like I'm inherently the world's worst driver. I get flipped off every day in New England, I swear. But if I'm, running over a pothole and I'm turning around in random places to check that it's, not a person, I'm going to end up in an accident because I'm turning around where I shouldn't be turning around. Like compulsions get me into so much shit.
Yeah.
Like just
Well, you mentioned it slightly, but I think it's worth the conversation just for a moment.
yeah.
The hand infection you got was because you washed so much that you opened up cuts in your hand from washing.
Mhm.
And the very compulsions you did to try to keep yourself clean led to the oils leaving your hand, therefore your skin cracking and peeling, opening up a cut, and then you got an infection.
Yeah. And literally like to not get sick. And then I ended up sick. Or you like,
Yeah.
I went through a time where OCD, I was like, when I was a teenager, I was too afraid. I was afraid to eat because I felt like my hands were contaminated. I felt like utensils were contaminated. Food was, so I didn't eat at all. And that was my solution to not getting sick, like to not getting sick and to staying alive. But in reality, it had the complete opposite effect.
Yeah.
Like I was,
And that's a very negative effect on you when you don't eat anymore. Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't go so well. Yeah.
When I commit a sin, I feel like I have to confess my wrongdoings to my friend that goes to my church. What's good ERP? Not confessing your sins to your friends that you go to church with and living with the doubt and uncertainty of that experience, right? That is, so your exposure is, I think I might have sinned. Your response prevention, not telling everyone about it and just living in your own doubt and insecurities. Sometimes what we do is we use another person as an external conscience, right? I think it was bad. Let me run this past someone to see what they think. And if they think it's bad, then it really is bad. But if they don't react too bad to it, maybe it wasn't so bad after all, and I'll be okay with it.
Yes.
Montana never had to do that, I'm sure, right,
No,
Mackenzie?
never. No, but I'm also laughing because the Catholic girly in me, like
Mm.
my poor priest, every time I went to confession, because I didn't know that that was a compulsion, but oh my gosh, I was probably like, I said a bad word and didn't tell anyone about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't do it.
Can my ill nephew or my little nephew catch OCD from watching me compulse? We've not seen that that's how it works, but here's the deal. We know that in families there's genetic components and there's environmental components as well. So while I don't see that somebody seeing you do a compulsion causes someone else to get OCD, uh, it's also probably what? Yeah, go ahead. Mhm.
No, I was going to say habit.
Yeah, habit. And sometimes kids will just copy people that they really like, right? So suddenly a kid will see an adult doing a compulsion and then they'll either start doing it too, which then starts the adults to freak out. It's like, oh my God, that's happened. You ever had that, Mackenzie? Maybe.
I mean, my kids just literally have OCD, but it's fine.
Or there's the genetic component to it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi again, Dr. McGrath. These webinars helped me so much. Wonderful. You're still struggling with procrastinating routine tasks due to dreading your checking rituals. OCD keeps telling you I'd better check it just so to avoid missing meds, appointments, things. Every bit of ERP you tell me remind me. It was helpful. Awesome. Well, here's the thing. You will get advice from me as the doctor. You will get advice from Mackenzie in her lived experience. And your OCD will say, yeah, that sounds good, but, and then want to put its own spin on it, because OCD is the yeah, but what if disorder, right? So it doesn't matter what we say or what we tell you to do. You will always add a yeah, but what if to it, which means we can give you things to do, ways to deal with procrastination, have you go face fears. And in the moment, you still have a choice to make, which is to follow along with the suggestions of here's the exposure, here's the response prevention, right? The curative component of ERP is not the exposure, it's the response prevention. Or do I throw another compulsion in there and eliminate the response prevention, which, yes, in the moment does feel better, but in the long term does keep me stuck?
Yeah.
And Mackenzie, from going through therapy, how much did OCD want you to still sneak in a small, tiny little compulsion into this event just in case?
Oh gosh, all the time. And it's, you know what it is too? It's, we can have like all the support and all the resources, but like you have to decide that you're going to do the hard thing. You have to say, I'm going to take ERP therapy and I'm going to put it into my daily life. I'm going to push myself into that like uncomfortable. I'm going to like commit to doing that, because OCD will always try to sneak a compulsion in, right? And I think a lot of it is self-awareness. For me, like if we're talking about like confessing, like we're just saying things, I'm like, okay, what is my intention in sharing this? Is it to get rid of anxiety, or is it something Dr. McGrath needs to know? Right. And so like that is because OCD is very manipulative. It is very sneaky. I had a skill. Like I was going to get reassurance whether you realized you gave it to me or not. Like that. And I would make it up if I wanted to. Like it's really, it's hard. It's hard to stop doing that. It is. But I think a lot of the winning from that for me came from wanting to get better, not wanting to live the life I was living anymore. And like, okay, as much as I want to, do this compulsion, I know where this is going to take me. Like, I know I'm going to end up stuck. I know I'm going to end up in the same place I always am. So do I want to do that, or do I want to do an exposure?
Mackenzie, for family members who might be listening tonight and just kind of are stuck on it, and I can try to explain it, but again, I loved the lived experience line of it. Mm-hmm. You could literally spend all sorts of time trying to do everything that you can to make sure that you're on time for something. And in the process of doing that, do so much of it that it leads you to not be on time and create your absolutely worst fear in the world, even though all that you were doing was to be on time. Is that correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Especially, I mean, oh my God, like, but exposure, like, I mean, compulsions make us late. They make us, all the things. I mean, like, you can prepare and prepare and prepare for things and still not fail, but not reach that intended goal. Like and that's just
Sure.
life.
There's always the shit hits the fan experience of life, right? I mean, I
Yeah.
talk about a wedding. I have still not been to a wedding where something didn't go wrong.
Right.
And I'd contend it's the most planned day of anyone's life is probably their wedding day. And I
Right.
still haven't been to one where something didn't just shit the bed, So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, because OCD says, okay, like you do all the nothing bad's is gonna go this way. And like when something goes wrong, like I remember my brain would be like, okay, well, everything's over. I can't focus on anything except the thing that went wrong because now everything's off, and it's adjusting your expectations and like just understand like that is life. Good things are going to happen, bad things are going to happen, things are going to go exactly the way you plan, and things are going to go completely the opposite of what you plan. And we have to learn to manage OCD through all of those aspects of life.
Yeah. And OCD will take credit for all the things that go well, and it will blame you for all of the things that don't go well. OCD has never once taken the blame for something that didn't work out.
And you can have a plan in your head. When we went to New Orleans, I was like, okay, I am going to do everything everyone wants to do. Like, I'm not going to let my OCD, whatever anyone suggests, as long as it's in my morals and values.
Illegal, right? Maybe. Yeah.
I'm doing. We went down Bourbon Street. I saw so many rats. I saw throw up, and I was like, oh my, why did I say I was going to do what everyone else did? I hate, like, this is terrible. I shouldn't have done it. I should have stayed in the room. Like, it's life. And I had to manage it and navigate through it. It was not pretty by any stretch of the imagination, but I did it. Like, you can't plan for everything. And honestly, I wake up every day and I'm like, I'm going to be triggered today. It's going to happen because it is going to happen. I cannot go through a day or an hour without my OCD being triggered. It's just part of it. And it's okay if and when that happens, how am I going to handle it? Sometimes it looks a lot better than others. I didn't handle Bourbon Street so well, but I got through it. So
can we elaborate on what it means to ignore an obsession? I'm told to accept the obsession, acknowledge it being there, and move forward, carrying it with me as is this not ignoring? It's not ignoring. Accepting something as being there isn't ignoring it. It's just being like, okay, right? I accept certain pains. I've got some arthritis in my hand. I don't know how to ignore it, but I also don't contemplate it constantly going, damn the arthritis. What can I do? I accept it's there and I do things. And once in a while I'll grab something and it'll hurt. I'll be like, oh, okay, and then I figure out a different way to grip it or something like that. But in the end, I'm not ignoring it. I've accepted that is there. I'm going to bet, Mackenzie, the more you try to ignore obsessions, the worse they got.
Yeah, in order to get rid of them or to push them away, like you're taking them along with you, right? Like you're not giving them any attention. They're just there. Like you can't keep yourself from getting intrusive thoughts, images, and urges. You can't ignore them. They're just there. I think you just really get to a point where you're like, am I going to give these things the attention or not? Right? Like I'm not, they're just there. I don't know. I try hard to like explain what that looks like, but it really is. Remember like Mean Girls? I told you that. Have you ever seen Mean Girls?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where he's like, get in, loser, we're going shopping.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I talk to my OCD. Like, you can get in, you can be here, but like, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. Like, maybe I'll get in a car wreck. Maybe that Paul was a person, I'm going to jail. Like, but it's just there. And I think like the biggest thing that helps me with that is like staying present and focusing on what I was doing before OCD got loud. So then I'm not trying to get rid of it. It's just there.
Yeah. This one is interesting. How do I accept the fact that OCD ruined my youth? I'm 20. I knew you would have a reaction to that one. And so I'd love to have you talk about that. How are you today with the fact that you had such untreated OCD growing up and not the right treatment and all these compulsions and people probably thinking, you were crazy or obstinate or all these things, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think this was the hardest thing. I remember when we didn't have a conquer. They didn't do conquers when I was going through NOCD ERP therapy, but I was getting to the point where my OCD was getting so much more manageable. And I remember talking to my therapist and I was like, I can't keep doing this. And she's like, what do you're doing great. And I was like, no, not ERP therapy. It was like the better I got, it's like when a storm comes and the dust settles, right? Like, and you realize like all the chaos that OCD has caused. And so the better I got, the more clear that became, and like being able to see how many relationships it affected, decisions in my life, everything. And so I think that was really painful. Like, it was really painful to look at that. I mean, because for 28 years of my life, it was in control. So it was really painful. I think you almost kind of like mourn that, and like you have to accept it. And something that helps me is, I cannot change the past, but I do have control over my future, and I can keep OCD from taking anything else from me. And that is something I try to really hone in on. But I mean, oh my gosh, I was bullied. I dropped out of school, so many things because of my OCD. And again, like, I can't change any of that, but I can keep it from stealing anything else. But I would be lying if I said it wasn't so painful. And it does hurt. It sucks. It does.
But that also doesn't have to be the only thing you think about, correct?
No, it doesn't. Not at all. And I think, you find purpose in like pain. And I honestly, like, I love taking my power back. I love being able to, now I help other people feel less alone and more understood. I was able to see OCD in my daughter from a young age because I knew what I was looking at and looking for. And no, you don't have to be defined by your past anymore. And the longer you stay stuck in the past, the more OCD wins, because there's absolutely nothing you can do to change that. So I think does that make sense? Like, I think a way that I take my power back by not allowing myself to get stuck there anymore. And you get to a point where you're enjoying living so much and being in control of your own life that you don't think about it anymore.
Any tips for focusing on work with OCD? I find myself able to lower my relationship anxiety, but unable to stop ruminating on stability in my relationships and affecting me professionally. Thanks. So you work for an OCD, you have OCD, and you talk about OCD all day at NOCD with OCD. So
literally my life, my whole life.
Your whole life is kind of OCD, by the way. It
is. I eat, sleep, breathe. No. Mm-hmm. Honestly, well, I feel like I work for, it's different because I use it to, like, it helps me because I get to, use my own experiences to help other people feel less alone and more understood. But I think I was trying to find it again really quick.
Oh, yeah. Here, I'll pop it back up. There you go. Mm-hmm.
But like, OCD is, anything is going to trigger OCD, right? And so, like, for me, my job truly, I'm going to sound like such a nerd, but it doesn't feel like work to me because I love it so much. But my OCD has tried to attack it many, many, many times. And, every time I host a support group, I'm like, oh gosh, what if I walked across the screen butt naked? I'm completely clothed. What do you mean? Or what if I'm going to say something that offends someone, or somebody's going to take what I'm saying as advice, or somebody didn't hear that I'm not a therapist? And you have to take all of those things, and like, the values are louder than the fear, right? But also with work, I think OCD loves to project onto other people. So it can really affect work dynamics and getting things done. I mean, right, Dr. McGrath, like it's hard. I think it affects everything. There's nothing that's out of OCD's reach. And so I think with work, if my OCD is triggered, because being in support groups where everyone's talking about OCD all the time, my OCD gets triggered. It happens. And I think pulling myself back to the present is the best way that I navigate through ruminating. Because if I'm focusing on the present, then I'm not stuck in my head where OCD wants me to be.
Okay. What's the best description of inhibitory learning? So one of the things that I like to think about inhibitory learning is this idea of, as I learn a new way to respond to a stimuli, it decreases the recall of the old way to reply to the stimuli. So it almost inhibits the old way of happening. And so if you think about, here's what I did when OCD was really in control, and here were the compulsions I did, and here's what I practiced as a new way to reply to that trigger. Hopefully, as I continue to do that, that becomes the pattern and the norm for me instead of what OCD wanted for me.
Don't you love how that one was Dr. McGrath? I was like, yeah, Mackenzie's no
definitely
idea.
not Nordone by any means. Yeah, don't ask her this one. Yeah, so.
And that was so right. It was spot on.
Bonnie says, I've made my world so small over the last 2 years. I'm now having trouble leaving not just my house, but my bedroom. How do I get out of this? Well, 1 foot at a time is how you get out of this. I mean, OCD, panic, agoraphobia would love to see you reduced to one spot in one space and to define that that is the only safe space to be. And if you leave this space, terrible, awful things could occur. Now, here's the deal. No matter what space we're in the world, terrible, awful, horrible things could occur, right? You may be in your safe space, but there's an earthquake and your building collapses. You may be out of your safe space and something happens in your safe space, and the only reason you're safe is because you had to go to the bathroom, right? You could be out of your safe space and something terrible could occur. These constructs of safe space are things built into our head, not into reality. But they feel so real and they seem so real to people that we believe them to be true. I mean, Mackenzie, how real did OCD feel to you in the midst of the worst of OCD?
Like it was like the fear is so real. I mean, I struggle to explain that other than it felt as real as actually something actually happening, right? Like OCD, like it shrunk my world into this tiny little bubble because I was so afraid of living, because those fears, I mean, it's the possible, what is it?
Possibility versus probability.
Yeah. And like, I mean, I said when something would drop on the ground and my therapist was like, okay, like you have to give it to them, right? So like they're eating a lollipop, it drops on the ground and the exposure is to give it to them anyway. That fear, it literally felt like, as silly as this is about to sound, but like I was killing them in that moment. Like I'm opening the door and they're running out the door and there's a truck coming down the road, and it's, that fear, that gut-wrenching fear that you would feel in that moment, like that is what it feels like. It is so real. It's just one of those, I mean, it's that's why it works, because it feels so real. And I still struggle to explain how real, other than, I don't know. I still struggle with that because it just, I don't know. I struggle there.
Yeah. There's a compliment for you, so we'll skip that and we'll go to the next. It says Mackenzie support groups are the best. So.
Thank you, Christy.
Steva says, are Zoom calls okay to do with a NOCD therapist? Absolutely. That's how we do it, right? We have a HIPAA compliant version of Zoom. So that is how we do our work, and they work fine. And Mackenzie, you described doing it and it was very helpful, right? So.
Yeah, it was. It is. You can't use the excuse that they can't go. Look at all these. Stop. Look, everyone loves me. I haven't seen a compliment about you in here.
No, because I suck and you are, but maybe it's because you walk butt naked in front of the camera and I don't. So that could be why you get compliments and I don't. So
I literally hate you. You're making my OCD loud. See?
there we go. See, that's what I like to do.
Ugh.
Otter Saver Rock Pockets, that's a great name, says, I'd like to hear you both talk about the role of peer support in OCD recovery. Well, I think you're a perfect person to discuss that with our support groups, Mackenzie. So why don't you talk about what we get out of those things?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's nothing more beautiful than people realizing that they're not alone. And I think OCD thrives in making us feel isolated. And one of my favorite things about hosting groups is when someone's, shares something that they think no one is going to get. And then you see everybody's heads in their Zoom boxes like, oh my gosh, yeah, or like, same, I've been there. Because there's so much power in realizing you're not alone. There's so much power in realizing other people's brains work or don't work, depending on how you want to look at it, the same way as yours. And there's something really cool about celebrating other people's wins and being able to see those and helping, being supportive when people are struggling. One of my best friends in the whole world I've met through OCD. So,
that's nice of you to say that about me. I really appreciate that.
I was talking about Brenna. But I love you too. But it is, I mean, there's a camaraderie in that and just being able to have other people understand your brain and also be there to support other people. I mean, just the app, just watching people in the community section be supportive of each other. Like it's super, super awesome.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing for sure. Mm-hmm. Zach Perry says tips for keeping up motivation, not spiraling on heavier OCD days. Had one of them today. I think we have to think of progress is not linear. It's like every day is not going to be better than the last day, right? And if your goal is that and you have a tough day today, it could feel like the world is crashing out from underneath you and, oh shit, why is this happening kind of thing. But recognizing that we hope to see a trend going in a direction, but it doesn't mean that every day has to be better than the last day in order to keep improving, right?
Yep.
Is part of OCD making oneself and subjectivity the source of judgment rather than objective truth and reality as revealed by God and his church? Objective truth isn't contingent upon human minds. I think OCD will twist absolutely anything that it possibly can into being a source of judgment, right? So one person could hear a holy book passage and think, oh, that's lovely. Another one could go, oh crap, oh god, I did that. Maybe not. I don't know. But so the idea of an objective truth, OCD scoffs at because it may be that to many people of faith doesn't mean that OCD accepts that, right? So you may say this is the truth, and OCD says, but what if it's not?
Yeah, OCD is the truth.
Yeah, right. And
it's its own
yeah, it's its own truth in many ways, right? I think you're right about that. And so that's why I say, like in scrupulosity, your higher power could show up in a session and say, hey, don't worry about that. And you would go, are you sure?
Are you really God, or are you somebody else?
Yeah, maybe you're just dressed up and you're a different one and not, so that's why OCD hates faith. Because faith is the acceptance of something without absolute proof of it. And OCD says, well, that's dumb. Why would we do that? I mean, that's just stupid. We need proof. We need to know absolute answers. Now, what's the one thing OCD has never accepted? A proof or an absolute answer, because it's the doubting disorder. And what does the doubting disorder do? The doubting disorder doubts everything given to it, even if it is the right answer. So you can't give OCD a right answer that it will accept because it's unable to accept the right answer because it's the doubting disorder. So instead of attempting to give OCD the thing that it demands, which it won't actually accept, we help people with OCD learn to live with not getting that answer and living with the question. That's the goal of treatment right there. Right? We can have doubt and uncertainty. I don't know if after this webinar, when I walk up the stairs, I don't know 100% for sure that I will make it to the top without falling or having a stroke or a heart attack or something like that. It could happen.
If you just fall, you should record it because it would be funny.
I will do that and I will send it to you. Yes. And then we'll see how it goes. What's the best way to apply ERP or any therapy to motor sensory awareness acceptance? Ooh, interesting. So one of the things that we see in OCD, of course, is this idea that I have to pay attention to certain bodily sensations or the way my body functions. So am I breathing in the right way? Am I blinking the right way? Why did my arm move the way that it did? And in all of these situations, yes, we're going to do ERP. Sometimes we prescribe the problem. So if somebody's really paying attention to their blinking and worried they're not blinking right, I'm going to say, I want you to not blink right for the rest of the session. So both of us will just do this the entire session that we're talking to each other for the rest of the, and this gets, after like 2 minutes, this is really annoying and everything. And then people stop doing, like, wait a minute, you keep going, oh yeah. And after a while it goes, oh, listen, isn't that interesting? What just happened there? You stopped blinking that way, and you were trying to do everything maybe that OCD was telling you to do to blink, to make sure you blink, and now you've stopped. And does this mean your eyes will fall out of your head or something terrible will happen? Or did it just get so overwhelming, right, that you're like, yeah, I don't have the energy to do it anymore? And sometimes we could just show OCD that, you know what, it's okay not to have the energy that you want us to have and to do the things you want us to do anymore. And when we do that, what happens? We start to decrease the compulsions that we do. That's what we do.
ERP therapy would make good reality TV.
Yes, in fact, it has. I did the hoarding show. I was one of the therapists on there.
Where do I find? I need to go find those episodes.
Hoarding Buried Alive season. What did I do? I think I did season 2, episode 3 and 4, and I think I did season 3, episode 7. I believe.
What channel was it on?
The Learning Channel, TLC.
Mm-hmm. TLC. Oh, I know how I'm hanging out tonight.
Hoarding Buried Alive, Learning Channel. Yes, you can see no gray hair me going on back in the day there. Yeah, so
I'm gonna make it my profile picture on Slack.
Young McGrath. There he is. Yes. All right. I feel I get attached to people easily, and my OCD was diagnosed when I was going through existential OCD. It's been 5.5 months. I am on medication taking CBT. I think maybe CBD is what you meant there, if you're taking it or you're doing CBT, one or the other. How to deal with relapses. Well, here's the thing. First of all, what's a relapse? Is it today was a rougher day than yesterday? I don't know that I call that a relapse. Again, I think we're looking at progress being hopefully a trend, but some days are going to be tougher than others. So first of all, let's just keep that in mind. You get attached to people easily in your OCD. So if you feel that attachment is an issue, that's what you and your therapist are probably going to work on and see. We'd have to figure out, how does that potentially cause a problem for you? What would we do some ERP in? There are, of course, ways to deal with existential OCD, people who are concerned about what's the meaning of life and trying to solve philosophical problems that philosophers debated for 3,000 years. But you've decided that today is the day it has to be solved. And though Plato and Socrates and all these other people couldn't get it, I need to figure it out today, because how can I possibly do my laundry without knowing what the meaning of life is, right? So, and that's where OCD will say, yeah, you can't, right? And that's why Mackenzie hasn't done laundry for 3 years. Trying to figure out the meaning of laundry. Yeah.
Just kidding.
Do you think people are becoming more aware of OCD in society beyond the stereotypes of people just thinking it's a neatness disorder? I sure do. And I think we've played a big role in that, which I'm proud to say, doing these webinars and the Get to Know OCD podcast and the education that we put out here at NOCD. I feel really good about that. But I'm wondering what you also think about that, Mackenzie.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it because I love what NOCD does. I love the webinars. I love our social media team and how well they do everything on there. I think there's nothing cooler than like scrolling through TikTok or Instagram and you get smacked with this giant like funny video of somebody experiencing OCD. I saw one the other day. It was like, oh, to all the people who think OCD is about being neat and tidy, like I'm over here worried I'm in the Epstein files, and that cracked me up because I was like,
you're the second person to say that today. That what if I'm in the Epstein files? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then she's like, and my dad's name is Jeffrey, and I was like, oh my God. But then that's what the Nancy Guthrie thing too. I'm like, oh, what if did I take her? Nobody can find. Did I take? Like, it's just there's something funny about like people like being open and vulnerable about things that they maybe have never shared or would share, and then having people like Dr. McGrath or Tracy who, you know, are just breaking the mold when it comes to talking about mental health in general.
Yeah. You know, and that's all OCD needs is like, here's the flavor of the week, right? And OCD is going to, well, maybe I did that. Maybe we saw this during so many different crises that have happened over the years where people's OCD jump on wondering if they were the cause of that, if they go out and protest it, if they don't. Oh yeah, 9/11. I've had people say, you know, I thought about what if a plane hits a building, and then did that mean that they caused 9/11 because then it happened, right?
Yeah, and then they think that forever until they get help, and they're like. That's my love-hate for social media though too, because there's like people are connecting and feeling less isolated because of those things. Mm-hmm. Watching you on YouTube, anything.
Yeah.
So.
Although watching me on YouTube, definitely not a compulsion. You can watch all of me. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I was saying you were helpable.
I know. I was making a little quip there with you.
Oh, sorry.
You know why though? Because sometimes people has said, you know, I watch you every week or something like that, and
that's compulsive.
Exactly. So I say to them, skip next week.
Yeah. Also,
like, no. Well, yeah. Who would want to watch me every week? I don't understand, but yeah, it's really the face for radio is really not pleasant to look at by any means. But yeah. Any final words before we jump off for the evening there and leave these fine people who have spent an evening with us?
No, just that you're not alone, and OCD is a pain, and I think the one thing I always want people to know is that recovery is so possible, and ERP therapy works. It saved my life. And it's hard, yes, but it's just, there's so much purpose in it. There's so much to gain from it. So yeah, that's what I got. That's all I got. It's like 9:00. My brain's not working anymore.
I mean, that doesn't matter the time, frankly, but
I walked right into that.
You sure did. Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, that was really good.
I'll let you have that one.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you all for being here with us, as always, everyone. We really appreciate it. And remember, if you're looking for help for OCD-related conditions, check us out at NOCD.com. And also, if you like this and you like the Get to Know OCD podcast, subscribe to our NOCD YouTube channel, where we have all sorts of recordings and great education and things like that. And if you're in the therapy business, check out NOCD Academy, where we do continuing education. If you're a friend or family member of someone with OCD and you have questions about it, we do our NOCD 411 sessions. These are sessions with one of our experts that you can have an hour with them to chat about what is OCD and ways to maybe help with a family member. They're not therapy sessions, so they're just informational sessions, but might be a helpful thing to go through also. So check out all of those great things things that we have available to you at NOCD.com. Until next week, when Mackenzie won't be here, thankfully, you all have a great week. And thank you, Mackenzie, as always, for joining. It was fun. So,
So fun.